Welcome back to Self Transformation Radio. I am honored that you are here listening. The title of today's episode is called Other People's Business. Today, I want to share a story about an experience I recently had with someone I like to say I knew in a past life. I really want to protect their identity here too because I really care about them, and it also doesn't matter who they are. It matters what I learned from the experience, and that's what I want to share with you. Suffice it to say, I've been involved with this person pretty substantially for the last several years, and we know a lot about each other. We've seen each other at our worst. And this person would never listen to my podcast, so I'm going to speak freely about the situation without using their name or any other identifying information. I feel like the story is super relevant to what we've been talking about because sometimes I get the feeling that this person operates as if I am still the person I was when I was in the wreckage of my divorce, post-divorce depression. Do you have anybody in your life like that who seems to assume they know you through and through, but you just know in your gut that they have no idea? I imagine it's a pretty common scenario. And since I don't see this person often and we don't talk in real life other than by a text and the occasional email, they haven't exactly had a first row seat to the, shall I say, fullness of my transformation from where I was to where I am today and where I'm going. In fact, the most vivid experience this person has of me was when I was at my very worst. And that was 3 years ago now, because I know this person does not actively do any inner work to grow on a spiritual level. Since they've told me that they do not believe they are a spiritual person, it makes sense that they have a relatively static, unchanging idea of who I am. So I'm coming at it with that awareness. This person is getting married next year for the first time, and while I have been invited to their wedding, I'm on the fence about whether or not I even want to go. Because marriage is not something I celebrate anymore. It's like not celebrating a particular holiday that you just don't vibe with. But it's also because I'm not connected at all to who they're marrying, and I know sides of this person. It's extremely likely that they don't know, and I don't really need to spend dozens of hours driving to go be a witness to a tradition that I just don't believe in anymore. And if you're wondering why I don't believe in marriage, it isn't because I'm some crotchety old divorcee. It's because I believe more in creating a conscious partnership with someone, more so than inviting the government into my life through a marriage license and all that jazz. But that's something we can save for another day. It's a kind of deep topic. Yeah, so this person's getting married next year to someone they met on a dating app, and it's almost like because they've found their person, they believe they've cracked the divine code to relationships. So I'm constantly getting unsolicited relationship advice and unwanted encouragement from this person. Things like that they hope I find someone, that it's just a numbers game, and that it's absolutely critical to be on dating apps because our society has evolved that way, and not to be too picky or not to have too high of standards or to be too pushy or it will turn men off, and that it would make them really happy if I found someone, etc. Some of which is just absurd advice, if you ask me, but when it comes down to it, all of this unsolicited advice comes from a person who's never been married before and who is about to marry someone they met online and are in a long distance relationship with. And there's another major factor that causes me to not want to take advice from this person, and I'll get to that in a minute. I've learned to trust myself more than anyone else. That's the biggest key here. It's become easier and easier to trust myself now that I have balanced out my brain and taken care of the root cause of the issues that had me at my worst several years ago. And since I've been divorced for almost 5 years now, after being with my ex husband for a total of 10 years, I can tell you that I have never been happier. And I've never been more in tune with who I am. The connection I feel to myself is getting stronger every single day. But it's hard to explain any of that, to a person who has never been married and still holds the government institution of marriage as the ideal, the end all be all, and who thinks anything that doesn't have a scientific study proving its validity is just quackery or voodoo. And I know that because I used to be the exact same way. Isn't it weird when you evolve and the people around you don't? When you grow and the people around you don't. But I think that's the point here. I can't slow myself down to keep someone else comfortable, no matter how long I've known them or what role they've played in my life in the past. What finally got me to that point of understanding is that last week I found myself indirectly offering advice to this person in an area I consider myself to have a lot of knowledge in, and that is brain health. This person's mother is currently battling a very aggressive form of cancer that seems to have been brought on by a carcinogen that she'd been around for many years because of the nature of her work. And I have seen how much care my friend has reacted with. They've been doing research and ordering food and making sure their mom has everything she needs. It's awesome. What I don't see in this person, though, is care for themselves. This person lives every single day on mind altering stimulants, mind altering substances, specifically a drug called Vyvanse, which is very similar to Adderall in what it does to the brain. And let me tell you, it is very hard to know what I know about the brain and not say anything to people I care about. So the advice I indirectly offered was informing them that I'd sent them a copy of another friend's brand new book, which is a memoir about how they were able to get off of Adderall and heal their brain naturally so they could really get in touch with who they were. It really hit home for me, this book, because I didn't learn who I truly was until I completely stopped taking all mind altering substances for an extended period of time. I know for a fact that these medications are dangerous because I've taken them myself and seen the effects firsthand. I've analyzed the ingredients, and they are full of toxins that cause cancer, incidentally. And so when I heard about this book, I was like, oh my gosh, this person needs to read this memoir. It's full of hope. What if their life could be so much better? They could discover that they're robbing themselves every day and that it doesn't have to be like that. And that's exactly what they're doing, is robbing from their longevity and vitality every time they take this drug that they're absolutely convinced they need and can't live without. And the reaction I received to letting them know, hey, I'm sending you this book my friend wrote, it just came out, was very, very defensive. They said that they're going to throw away the book and that I should just cancel the order, that they've done research into the long-term effects and even know somebody in their 70s who's healthy and's been on this drug their whole life despite it not having existed for that long, and had made a decision that it's worth it for them to take the drug every day for life. And I just felt so sad. Hearing this, I was angry, I was sad, I cried about it, and it actually surprised me, but I just sat with it and I allowed it to happen because it felt like this person was willingly handing themselves over to a drug that they believed was actually helping them. I could hear it was the drug talking, even through the screen, with the lack of awareness of where I was coming from, their extreme defensiveness, not being able to see where I was coming from at all, or the connection I was trying to make between them and their mom, who's dying because of their prolonged exposure to a toxin. There's a lot of parallels there. And in the end, this person demanded that I respect their boundary by not giving them advice. And do you know what I did? Well, first I blocked them because I was so triggered by the disrespect I was feeling and the irony of it all. But once I cooled off, I unblocked them and I thanked them for setting a boundary. I'm sure this person expected an apology, but I knew I had done nothing to violate them in truth, and I knew the intention of what I had done. So all I said was, thank you for telling me your boundary. I didn't know about it. And I started thinking about my own boundaries, which are my responsibility, right? Setting a boundary is not something I have done as relates to the very ironic, unsolicited relationship advice I have received many times over the years from this person. And since this experience where they enforced a boundary, I have definitely thought about setting a boundary that I do not want to hear relationship advice from them anymore because I'm happy being single at the moment. And the unsolicited advice comes off as pity from them. It comes off like they are superior and possess some kind of knowledge or skill or worthiness that I don't. But the biggest reason is that I would never seek help from someone whose life I don't want to emulate. And by me allowing it to continue, it's just me allowing more noise into my mind that makes it difficult to hear my inner voice and my true north. But regardless of what I decide to do about that, what I have decided in any case is that their reaction, their ignorance, their unconsciousness, their defensiveness, it's not my business. It's their business. They can give me advice until they're blue in the face, but I trust myself to do what feels right inside. There's no hurry to find a partner. I firmly believe that in becoming who I truly am and allowing my own energy to flourish, that I will attract the right people into my life, and that will eventually include someone that I do want to partner with for the long haul. But I'm going to do it consciously, not just because I feel pressured by a society or a friend, just like how my mother-in-law, my former mother-in-law, used to very subtly pressure me about having kids. I can stand my ground for what feels right for me, and I can stand my ground for what doesn't. I no longer concern myself with what other people think about a decision I make or what I'm choosing to do with my life. what you can take from this is that it's other people's business what they think of you. It's none of your business what they think of you. It's a waste of energy trying to change someone who doesn't believe that they have a problem, too. I've been there. I know what it's like. I used to take Adderall myself, and it was actually due to this person's advice that I even tried it in the first place. The way they spoke of it like I had some disease that only this drug would fix, and looking back, I can see how it was helpful in the short term until I got to the root cause of the issue. But the problem with using these drugs long term is that they have long term side effects. They destroy your brain's ability to function properly, and it is a long road back to balance. And most people, like my friend, get hooked and it becomes part of their identity. ADHD is part of this person's identity, and they are rooted in that belief, and it's horrifying to consider that it could have happened to me like that. I can't imagine where I'd be if I was still taking Adderall every day. And I'm very proud of myself for getting off of it and staying away from it. And what I wrote in my journal today was that the best way I can use my energy is in improving myself. It's always been in improving myself that other people have directly benefited. I started a business based on how I improved my life with proofreading, and other people directly benefited from that. They're still benefiting from it. That's why it's important to focus on your business before anyone else's. So, what is your business? Your business is uncovering who you are. Once you know who you are, you can be crystal clear about what it is you want. Your purpose will unveil itself after the real you is present and you're fully aware of yourself. Because you are the most important person in your life. Even if you have a husband, even if you have kids that mean the world to you, no one should be more important to you than yourself. So often we put other people on a pedestal in our lives and forsake ourselves, martyr ourselves, sacrifice ourselves, trying to make them happy. Giving of ourselves, but not giving to ourselves. You can't truly feed anyone if your own stomach is empty. Everyone in your life will benefit if you are truly nourishing and feeding yourself. And that's a big reason I decided to take myself off of all mind-altering substances. Because they were not just altering my mind, they were also altering my body and creating further imbalance by covering up what my body was trying to tell me. Once I started nourishing myself, my body and brain were able to come back into balance. And your body knows how to come back into balance. We've been taught that it doesn't, but it does. It's like a miracle. Life is a miracle, people. And the episodes of my show before season 3 go way deeper into all this if you want to learn more and dive deeper into that stuff. And what I mean by nourishing and feeding yourself, by the way, I don't just mean what kind of food you're eating or if you're juicing or something like that. I mean taking time for yourself. Asking yourself powerful questions like the ones I ask you on this show. Listening for the answer patiently. Paying attention to all the inputs in your life. What kind of TV are you watching? What kind of books are you reading? Who are you hanging out with? Are they supporting the vision of who you truly want to be? Or either consciously or unconsciously, are they trying to make sure you stay the same so their world stays comfortable? It's all about awareness. It's a process. You are a process. You're a work of art. You're creating your life with every choice you make, every thought you think, and most of all, by who you've decided to be. We get to choose that in each and every moment, how we are showing up and who we want to be. We're never truly stuck unless we allow ourselves to be. Yeah. All right, my friends, that is all for this week's episode. Did a great job today. I'll see you in the next one.